It's the Elsa Kirk Show with Clay Novak. Serving up trending news and conservative views. Brought to you by the Elsa Kirk Collection. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Oh, Clay, it's been a week. How you doing, my friend?
I am good. And, I got a couple folks, just a reminder, last week we did a very short show. Comparatively, we did the 30 minutes. It was right after we had found out about Charlie Kirk. Elsa and I decided to do a shorter version of our show dedicated only to him and really what had happened. But also, we released it that night, that Wednesday night.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I got more personal messages from people after our show, and even people thanking us for what we did, and also commiserating with us in the aftermath. So thanks to all the viewers and listeners out there for that immediate response. Elsa and I struggled with what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, when we were going to do it, and I know what I got. I don't know what you got, but what I got after the show was reassuring that you and I made the right decision. I just want to tell everybody thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so grateful to you, Clay, because we are just by nature. I'm so appreciative that we are both of the same mindset. I've never considered myself even though we talk about news, so I know this sounds contradictory. I don't consider myself a news personality. I'm just, a commentator, I guess. I don't really know what the heck to call myself much of the time, but I know that I have never liked that piranha culture that you see in media all the time. And I know there are many news sources that will hop on air and stay on air for 24 hours if they could, and just keep talking it. And I, to be perfectly honest, I simply emotionally could not. I mean, I don't think anybody needed to sit there and see me blubbering nonstop, which is really all it would have been. Barely got through the 30 minutes that we did. Clay, you were so gracious and good to just kind of keep that all on track and keep it moving. And I just made a video about it today, just discussing the aftermath, the general sentiment of people who care, basically, and how it has I feel that this event has deeply changed me. It's in good ways, bad ways, of course, but also in good ways. And I knew that was going to happen for a lot of people. I knew that this would kind of light the fire under people. And of course, Erica Kirk's speech was truly igniting of as she said, a battle cry. For not just Christians, believers, obviously, that's a huge part, but just quiet conservatives. This was the wake-up call. I think the harshest of wake-up calls that we could ever have, to say, man, oh man, we are not the same. We are not the same with these people. And it's time to stop playing, and I use that word loosely, playing as if we are the same, that we have the same goals. And there was a long period of time where I would say, and I know a lot of people still say this, that, I think at the core, we really have the same values and the same beliefs. We just go about it at different ways. And there are people, that you could say that about and to and with. But collectively, we are not the same. We do not have the same end goals in mind, and it's time to stop pretending that we do. That's kind of where I'm at right now. How about you?
Yeah, so just folks, I know that Charlie Kirk has been at the top of everybody's news feed for a week. By the way, it's Wednesday, it's 4:30ish on the East Coast. Elsa and I are back to our normal recording time, but we're going to talk about significant portion of the show is going to be what's happened in the last week beyond the actual assassination of Charlie Kirk, the aftermath, and things that have happened on the fringes. So, not that I would ever tell anybody to turn us off, but I do understand. We've talked about fatigue a number of times. Elsa and I have on this show. So if you have fatigue about everything that's going on, this is such a sensitive topic that if you're done, if you're in that mode of where I just can't do this tonight, or I can't do this, right now, then please step away. The last thing we want to do is upset anybody, but we are going to talk about what's happened since, and we're going to kick it off talking about the normalization of political violence that's happening in this country. I know I've seen a lot, and a lot of the, well, what about Melissa Hortman? And that people are saying that. And then of course you've got, kind of going backwards in time, you've got Rand Paul getting beaten up in his front yard by his neighbor. I don't know if you want to classify Nancy Pelosi's husband as political violence. I don't. I think that was a criminal act of a very weird nature. I don't think that was politically driven. But you obviously you've got the two assassination attempts on the president. You've got the practice by the Republican team of the congressional baseball game, that shooting that happened a few years ago. Like, this is becoming more and more prevalent, in our country. And I hate to say it's becoming normalized, but I think there are people who are trying to normalize it, and we keep going back to the media, but they're the ones who sensationalize it, which drives people to pay more attention to it, which makes it more acceptable because it's on more, it's covered longer. These people are given a platform for their political violence, and it's becoming normalized in our politics today, which is abhorrent. This is what happens in third world countries, people. Like, this is not the United States. This is not like we talk poorly about other countries for exactly these kinds of things. And we're showing our ass right now in how we're acting, how this level of political violence is becoming more and more frequent in the United States. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think that sums it up perfectly. And I'll tell you, some of the comments that I see all the expected ones. I'm sure you see all of the expected ones on, both perspectives on this whole thing. Of course, the disgusting, horrible people who either mock or minimalize the death of Charlie Kirk, and all the way to the other extreme where people are just devastated and broken up about this. And, and then the next version of that, the ones that are calling for, the eye for an eye, and this is war, and you see all of the things. And quite honestly, the one that honestly still baffles me the most is the one I just saw today, which is the ones that say things like the exact comment, not on my stuff. It was on somebody else's thing. It was on a private page. So I don't want to give any, names or any of that stuff. But it was a woman, and she said, well, I don't, you people on the right keep saying that there's all of these acts of celebration and glee over Charlie Kirk's death. And I haven't seen any of that. So I don't know what you're talking about, but I can't imagine that it's anything like what you're saying. And I felt I felt the pressure in my head, just like, lady, would you like me to post video after video after video after video after comment after post after message after every single thing of the hundreds of thousands of people who are celebrating this, literally celebrating this, and by the way, losing their jobs for it, which we will get to. That's actually a really good conversation because it just is. So yeah, this whole thing of trying to, and the deflection too, Clay, you brought up the, and I got those comments too. Well, what about this person? Well, what about that person? And I admit I got a little defensive because I'm like, well, if you watch my show, you'd know that Clay and I talked about that. We talked about it. So just because you didn't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist and that it didn't happen. They want everyone to, if Charlie's a martyr, why can't everyone be a martyr? Well, because not everyone was doing what Charlie Kirk was doing. Not everyone was walking. And I'm not saying that his death is, his life was more important than somebody else's life. All of these lives have value. All of these people are deeply, profoundly missed by the people that knew and loved them. Charlie hits on a different level because it is simply different. Not minimizing anyone else, but I am telling you at the same time that Charlie was the only one of all of these people that went daily, weekly, monthly, yearly into the lion's den, knowing exactly what was at some point very likely to happen. And that's in his own words that, this would not surprise him for this to happen. He expected that this could and would happen. And he still chose to go into the lion's den and fight for what he believed in. And he did it with dignity and grace and compassion and kindness, and best of all, absolute truth. So yeah, I'm sorry that you don't like the fact that it is different, but it is.
Yeah, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Gutfeld, but he was on the 5 the other night, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but somebody on there brought up, Melissa Hortman, and he said it as plainly as you can say it. And the fact is, because everybody keeps saying, well, what about her? And he looked this person in the eye and said, you didn't even know who she was. None of us knew who she was before this. Everybody knew Charlie Kirk. Nobody knew who she was. He wasn't minimizing who she was. He was putting the impact in perspective, right? She was a local level politician. If you live in Minnesota, probably a different impact, right? I would say, as for those people who are saying the but what about, right? I've seen the but what about Melissa Hortman a number of times. Nobody ever mentions her husband. Nobody ever mentions the other politician who was attacked that night. Everybody just mentions her because it's convenient. But you're right. Charlie hits different. Charlie hits different because it was done publicly, because it was done in front of a live crowd, because it was instantaneously, visually all over the world. Where, these other incidences were not. And again, I'm not minimizing those, but the impact of how it was presented, how it happened, how it was visual to everybody. You said it yourself, among a bunch of people I know who were like, I opened the video or I opened this app and I didn't even have a choice but to watch it. Right. So, the impact of all of that hits very, very different. And the reaction by people, which again, we're going to talk about a little bit more, was ridiculous. But I will tell you, and this is my theory, and I'm sticking to it until the day I die, and I'm not trying to bring up the most controversial topic of abortion. But the reality is, as we talk about people talking about school shootings, let's stop killing kids. These are all the same people, by the way, right? Charlie Kirk, doesn't, I don't care about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk doesn't matter. Okay. By the way, what happened there was a school shooting. It was at a college campus. That's a school shooting.
Right.
Those same people say, let's stop shooting kids. Let's stop killing kids. Let's stop school shootings. Those are the same people that also endorse, celebrate, or at least are ambivalent to abortion. When you dehumanize that act at its most base level, right? When you are okay with killing an unborn child, then you become okay with all of the other types of violence.
Right.
And you, as a society, maybe not as an individual, but as a society, that's where it goes. Gang violence becomes commonplace. Children in gangs become violent. It become commonplace. Them conducting violence and having violence conducted against them becomes commonplace. And we don't care. There are kids killed in Chicago and New York. Well, not really Washington, D.C. right now, but other cities, gang violence, Los Angeles, every single day. We don't say crap about it. We say it when it happens in a school. We don't say it when it happens on the corner of 6th Street and whatever. So societally, it is unsurprising that we are where we are, because we have normalized violence against the most innocent of all innocent. And in some cases, people are celebrated. You've seen it, the disgusting, I've had, 14 abortions and women are cheering, right? Like it's the most disgusting thing there is, but that's normal now. It's been normalized. And so that's, I think, our biggest problem right now, and how we, this Christian movement by Charlie Kirk and the impact is going to be so much more significant. Because I think you're going to start to see people reevaluate their values in general because of what happened to Charlie Kirk. And I'm thinking, God, I'm hoping that this political violence has hit the edge of the pendulum swing, and we're going to start to come back. I can't see it getting worse. I have to believe, as an American, as a human being, and somebody with morals and ethics, that it is going to start to swing back to some sort of normality. Because right now we're in bad shape.
For this to get worse would be pretty unspeakable when you think about the level that this could go to. And one of the arguments that so many of us are sick and tired of hearing as of late, which is one that's been said for years, if not decades, the whole, well, both sides need to tone down the blah blah blah. You know what? Try not to swear. You can all guess the 2 words I want to say to that, because the right is not calling for violence. The right is not cheering the murder of a father, husband, good man. The right isn't burning down their cities when they don't like a verdict or an outcome of a situation. The right does not, and by the way, yes, I am well aware, because somebody will pipe in and be like, well, there are some extremists, right? Yeah, we know there's extremists in every aspect of life. There are extremes. We all know that. There's no argument here. We're talking about the overall, the collective, the majority, right? And the majority, you saw one of my, I don't want to call it one of my favorite videos, but a very telling video, accurate, is it was a side by side, or one was on top of the other, of how the left handles and how the right handles. And the left, of course, it was all images of the burning of the cities, the looting, the violence, all of these things. And the bottom was the vigils, praying for Charlie, and really for all of us, for this country and this world. Like I said at the top of the hour here, we are different. We are so core different. And I'm not going to take blame. I'm not going to take blame for what's happening now, because it's all coming from the left, and I can agree on some points, that, well, actually, you know what? You and I have been saying this all along. We are not fans of the, combative personal attacks, from our government officials, from the president on down. I have said, you have said as well, to bring back decorum, and respect, and just a code of ethics and behavior that is becoming of your position. And I believe that needs to be strictly, aggressively, fiercely enforced. Same thing with media. There needs to be this media accountability where, if you are inciting violence, if you're blowing that damn dog whistle, what's his name from FCC? I'm drawing. I could see his face in my head, but they're talking about. I think we touched on it last week for a moment, that they're looking at pulling licenses of media companies that are, guilty of doing these things. And I am totally good with that. Make sure you can prove it. Make sure you can document it. And that's what they're getting pulled for, because we are protective of our free speech, even if it's speech we don't like. I think that technically kind of rolls into that conversation, huh?
Yeah, it does. It moves us right into our second topic, and I'll hit it right off the top with exactly an example of what you were talking about, and that is that Jimmy Kimmel, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about holding people accountable, folks. This new version of cancel culture, and Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know what night it was. I think it was Thursday night. I don't think it was the night that Charlie was killed. I think it was Thursday night, where he said that this young person was a conservative MAGA, blah, 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 blah. When clearly the evidence has shown that he's not, and so now that there is discussion that the FCC they're going to make an example of him as the first one of these, kind of, going after a personality or a network or a show about the content that they're putting out there. That's not free speech. That's not entertainment, folks. That is, spreading disinformation, which is what, the entire left accused President Trump of, during the campaign. But that's exactly
gotta love the irony.
Yeah, it's jumping to conclusions, but, getting to the holding people accountable, as everybody has seen, right? And I have seen a ton of it, and I've seen it on every, social media platform that I've come across that I operate on, including LinkedIn of all places, which is amazing.
Yes.
But there have been a ton of, so-and-so posted this horrific thing celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination, and it will be a series of screenshots. It'll be the quote itself on whatever platform. It will be that person's LinkedIn account with their employer information on it. It will be their Facebook account or their Instagram or whatever. And it'll be 3 or 4 things. And it says, this is all the same person. These are all of their accounts. And, let's hold them accountable. And there have been hundreds of people who have been fired, have been evicted, have been cut off, have been thrown off of social media platforms, including influencers, which means that is their entire income. And so the cancel culture that the left has bred over the last 5 to 10 years, really the last 5, is coming back to be used against them in the best possible way, but also to a significantly higher level. I mean, this is, you can call it doxing, you can call it whatever, but all people are doing is making the world aware of things that people said. Nobody forced them to say it. It's not false information. It's not a false accusation. That's why the screenshots are so important. But it'll say, let's make them famous. And these people are being held accountable. And I love it.
I love it more. I love it so much. It does bring me joy, and no apologies for that. And by the way, these aren't private statements that they made to their friend in the backyard and somebody, sneakily recorded them and then put it on. These are things they are putting publicly on social media. They are doxing themselves. You chose to put such vile, hateful, horrific things on social media where your employers are, your coworkers are, your family, your friends. You did this. We're just helping you get famous. You wanted the world, you wanted people to see what you had to say. Well, guess what? People are seeing what you had to say. And of course, the left is screaming, you're violating our free speech. No, you can say pretty much whatever you want. Do it. Say whatever you want. You're not free. Everybody knows the phrase. You are free to say what you want, but you are not free from consequence of what you say and do. And
free
I will tell you,
you can't be arrested for saying something. That doesn't mean that you can't be held accountable for saying something. And folks, this is doctors, right? This is professors. This is teachers at all levels. The fire chief of Cleveland, right, did this, got nailed, got suspended, right? You're seeing this in every industry, in every walk of life, in everything. And you're right, Elsa. They're doing it to themselves. All the rest of the world is doing is bringing attention, which is what they want when they post.
You wanted the attention, right? You wanted the attention. Here it is, my friend. Here it is. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Come on now, people. This comes down to, and I know we're preaching to the choir here, but there's always that potential for that one random person who believes very differently, and they fall upon this podcast and they're like, what? But the reality, the simple, basic, common sense reality here is that if I am a patient, if I am the mother of a student, and I see my doctor, my kid's teacher, whoever it might be, the community leader, whatever the case is, and I see you celebrating the horrific murder of another human being for the simple fact that they said things you don't like, what other moral decay are you capable of?
Sure.
You have zero trust from me now. If I know that that's the kind of human being that you are, I don't want you touching me. I don't, because that tells me if, God forbid I got into a car accident and I was wearing my Trump shirt or a Trump hat or, whatever. I fully believe, and I believe rightly so, that if I get brought into the hospital, somebody who disagrees with me, who posted something like that, I fully believe that they will not treat me, that they would let me die. Because why I believe that? Because they've said things like that. And you're telling me you think that person should keep their job? You got to be out of your freaking mind, right? So if you're gonna celebrate the death, the murder of another human being, and take glee from that, and we're talking about people who are like literally dancing and cheering and full on celebrating this, you deserve to lose your job. You deserve to lose your livelihood. You deserve to be put on blast on social media, all of the things, zero sympathy for that.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a probably the worst one I saw, and it's gonna you're gonna love this transition. So it's two little girls, probably 10 years old, right? Maybe, and then a little sister, maybe 6 or 7 years old, and it's like mommy asks them, guess who died today? The greatest thing happened. Guess who died today? And the older girl goes, Donald Trump, and she's very excited. And then she says, the vice president. She's very excited. And it's like this sickening, like these two little kids have been so brainwashed by this parent. It's disgusting. Like this is
horrible.
It's horrible. Well, come to find out, that woman's husband is a full-time National Guard officer who has. She's a public school teacher. And he is a full-time National Guard officer, a commander of an organization. He has been suspended, and he's not the only one. Folks, there are a number of people within the military in some fairly significant levels of responsibility who have publicly stated things like this. Okay.
We've got a Secret Service agent,
right?
Too. Yeah.
So within the military, and I'm a firm believer in this, and I've been saying this for a long time. You don't get to put on your social media personality or profile that you're in the military, or have pictures of you in uniform, or say where you're stationed or what your job is or anything like that, and then say my opinions are my own, right? That doesn't work. If you choose to use, to show that you are a service member in any way, shape, or form, your conduct online is the same as how you act in public. And there is no difference, and you will never convince me otherwise. And so we've got a bunch of, more than a disturbing number of military leaders who have been posting things about Charlie Kirk, who, are being suspended, relieved, and are being, there's potential discussion of non-judicial punishment within the military system for these individuals for conduct unbecoming. And again, I have no problem with this. If you want to have social media that is completely stripped of who you are in the military, and it's just you, and it's just your family, and it's just your friends or whatever, and you want to act like that, go ahead.
Right.
But you can't have the connection between the two, right?
Nope.
And so what happened with this woman, with these horrific, with what she's done with these kids, is she is the spouse, her and her husband's got her on his page. People made the connection. My understanding is he has been suspended. And there's a lot of those, the same kind of doxing, self-doxing kind of thing going on within the military. But this is indicative, right? Here's the transition, right? This is indicative of the decay of discipline that's going on and has been going on over the last probably 5 years or so within the military. And let me tell you something, folks. I've been one of the biggest critics of Secretary Hegseth since he got nominated. I am not a fan. There are things that he is fixing. One of them is discipline within the military. And if you haven't watched, especially if you're an old service member, basic discipline starts with how you dress and how you're groomed. And when you're in uniform, there's a specific standard on how you're supposed to be groomed, how your hair is supposed to be cut. For ladies, your makeup, your nails, your earrings, your all of those things. And they have slipped significantly in the last 5 years.
What a surprise.
Big shock, right? Lots of beards, lots of, ethnic hairstyles, as they like to call them, cornrows, twists, and braids, and colored hair, and all of these things. And I can tell you, just 2 days ago, the Army specifically published the new policy for grooming standards. And folks, it looks like it did in like 2010. And even before that, they have gone back to no long hair, only natural hair color. Men can have no braids, twists, dreadlocks of any kind. Absolutely no cosmetics for males, including nail polish, unless medically required. Women have very specific.
Can you believe we live in a world where you have to say that? Like they have to put that in there. Like this is like, come on.
Clear nail polish, right? Nails can only be so long. Jewelry can be very specific. But we've gone back to a level of personal discipline within the military that to me is long overdue. But and people will complain. They'll say it's stupid. It's not about readiness. It's not about war fighting. And I will tell you that is the first stone in the steps to where we are now, where you've got senior level officers and enlisted folks talking about the death of Charlie Kirk and celebrating. When you can't get up in the morning and shave, and you can't keep your hair to a very specific standard, that is a very slippery slope that goes down the ill discipline line. And I firmly believe that's where we're at right now. So applause to Secretary of Defense, who's forcing the service secretaries and the service chiefs to get their people in line and get back to discipline. Good for him.
Outstanding. I think it's outstanding. And I think that is something that needs to extend into all areas of public life. If you want to go next step, I'm taking a next step. I don't want to see anybody out in their pajamas. Listen, you're going to get mad at me. I know there's going to be people mad at me now for saying this because you like to, you don't care. You're just like, whatever. I'm just going to run to Walmart and grab a couple of things. You're the Walmart people. You want to be the Walmart people? I mean, knock yourself out. I don't actually have any control over this. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. Get dressed, fix yourself up, look decent, smell good, or at least smell neutral, and act like a productive member of society. Show some pride in yourself. Act like you care. Stop with the, I don't care. I don't care. No, my grandmother set the tone for me for my entire life. That woman, maybe it was extreme. Okay, fine. That woman did not even go down to the end of the driveway to get her mail without full makeup, her little heels on, her hair done, and looking good. And it's not for anything more than she took pride in her appearance. And her husband, my grandfather, loved for her to look like that. And she loved him. And, these are things that you do for yourself and for your person. And I can tell you, I mean, everybody knows this when you take your shower in the morning, like say you start the morning off and you're feeling lousy, you don't feel motivated, you don't feel like doing anything. You get in that shower, you clean yourself up, you fix yourself up, you get dressed, and what do? You feel better. Like this is just common sense, but we've gotten, so far into that don't care mentality in the society. And by the way, I think you should be dressing up for church. And I don't care if dressing up for you means your best pair of sneakers and your best pair of jeans, because that is what you have. Do it. Just do it. Look like you care. And it changes like everything about how you start the day, how you exist in the world. And by the way, always make your bed. It's in a book. There's a book. I think I forget who it is. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep. And again, that's, I got into that argument a few months ago because the shaving thing in the military came up, and a bunch of people, younger folks who, were adamantly against it, has no bearing on what we're doing, blah, 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 were the same people that I had seen who were cheering for Admiral McRaven when he said, make your bed in the morning. Shaving's the same thing, right? But it's about personal discipline, personal pride. Here's one to make you think about this before we move on to the next one. So, kids in college now, when we were younger, there was this thing called the walk of shame, right?
Yeah.
Right? You look out on campus at 7:00 on a Sunday morning and you see who's wandering around in the same clothes that they were in the night before. But there was this level of, embarrassment. You were sneaking. You were trying not to be seen, all those things. Do you know now that doesn't exist anymore? They don't care.
No, nobody
Literally
cares.
Don't care. Right?
Nobody cares.
Unless they're violating some kind of rule on campus, which don't exist in much fewer numbers than when we were younger, because you've got co-ed floors now. Right. I lived in a dorm where it was boys on one side, girls on the other. You had to go all the way down to the lobby and all the way back up, and you couldn't sneak between the two. Now you've got floors where it's like girls' room, next door, boys' room. Like there's no segregation. There's no seeking around. So that even that like walk of shame mentality is gone. Right. It's completely gone. So yes, folks, take pride in who you are, how you dress. We're not saying you got to wear a suit or a petticoat, right? It's not that. We're not talking poodle skirts, right?
No,
that's not what we're talking about. But you should go out, dressed, right?
Yeah.
And taking pride in who you are.
Yeah, I'm telling you that one little act on a regular basis will change your life. It will change your life. It will change your perspective. Same for turning off social, Charlie, I'm going back to Charlie, if you don't mind. Charlie Kirk, especially of late, was strongly advocating for and talking about bringing back Sabbath. And of course, if you're a Christian, it's a little bit different. For us, Sabbath would be Sunday. That would be our day of rest. And that was really what he was talking about, that for your sanity, for the sake of your family, for the sake of your mind and your, everything, take that day, turn it all off, put the phones away. Everybody throw your phone in a basket. And listen, I am one to talk here because I am addicted to working, and it is very, very hard for me to turn that off. But I love that this past Sunday, I did much better than I've done in the past. I've tried to do this, stopped and restarted this multiple times. And, just even doing that halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way, this past Sunday, you feel so much better. You feel like you can breathe. Your brain isn't muddled and mush and chaotic. And I think that is something that we really need to, individually, collectively, whatever, think about doing it for yourself. I won't even go big. I'll keep it small. Think about doing that for yourself and for your family. Take that day. And
I think businesses too, like we saw last year, the last 2 years, actually, we've seen the Black Friday has kind of tailored back a little bit, right? Yeah. I think we've seen more Christmas Eve tailored back a little bit. I think more places are closed. Christmas Day, more places are closed. We're starting to see people backing off of the consumerism that was driving a lot of that. And I get it, folks. For some businesses, listen, if you don't celebrate those holidays, you still need to go get gas. I understand that. But at the same time, allowing people to have those days to celebrate with their family, celebrate whatever they're doing, is all part of what Else is talking about. And I think we're going to start to see a little bit more of that. I think that pendulum is swinging back to, I think you're going to start seeing more businesses closed on Sundays. I think that is going to start coming back.
I hope so.
And I really believe that, because I think people, our generation, are worn out. Like we're Sunday was the day of rest. That's the whole purpose, right? And we don't even get that anymore. So I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of that. I would love to see that. It still exists in the Midwest, folks, and parts of the South. You still do have very, very quiet Sundays where there's nothing open and nothing going on.
Beautiful.
But I think you're going to start to see more of that outside of the major metro areas, and I think it's a good thing.
I hope so. And I believe that is all part of this bigger momentum that has been kind of rolling across the nation, this spirit of revival. And I mean that in the Christian sense, and I mean that in a overall sense that I think we are, Charlie's death sparked revival. Anybody wants to argue me with that, knock yourself out. I believe this in my heart, that this was the good to come from awful, that this was a catalyst for revival in, more than one way. And I think everything we were just talking about is example of that. And of course, we've seen the, nationwide vigils and commitments to recommitting or committing or considering to commit to faith, to a church, to attend church, membership, not membership, just people going to church. This past weekend was like at the highest it's been in years. And that's such an incredibly beautiful, beautiful thing. And then kind of in that same family of stuff, my segue is not nearly as nice as yours, Clay. But let's talk about the rise and surge of Turning Point USA, which of course is Charlie Kirk's baby, and now in the capable hands of Erica Kirk and all of the people that have already been working with them. But I can tell you, so I did two things, Clay. I went right away as soon as it crossed my mind to go on to Turning Point USA, to sign up and to, check pretty much every box. Do you want to start a chapter or join a chapter? Yes. Do you want to donate? Yes. Do you want to volunteer? Yeah. Like everything I could check, I checked off. And, I'm in a blue state, so, I may have to start a chapter here. If that's an option, I'll do whatever. But they had the last count that I saw, maybe more, the last count that I saw was 18,000 new memberships in a matter of way surpassed that. But that was my early number. So, where are they at?
Yeah. So two different numbers. One is 37,000 applications to start a chapter in a high school or university. Now, I don't even know if there are that many high schools and universities left in the United States that don't have one. Right. But there's that many applications to start chapters. But 58,000 applications for membership. at the same time. So, what does that mean, folks? That means that there's a youth movement that's coming. And, across college campuses, we've seen it specifically because of Charlie, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is the one who has highlighted the fact that not every college campus is, a cesspool of anti-Semitism, anti-religion, anti-American, they're not all like that. Not all campuses and not all kids. And we see that because of what Charlie was doing, because of Turning Point USA. And so now what you've got are they're almost the TPUSA chapters on campuses are almost Greek fraternity like in their membership, in their, kind of public visibility, their meetings, they're like all kinds of things are coming out of this. But the biggest thing is it's American youth who are tired of getting yelled at. They're tired of getting told what to think. They're tired of being guilted into things. And frankly, they're tired of the very loud minority everywhere they go. And when I say minority, I'm not talking about race or skin color, although sometimes that applies. I am talking about the loud minority of the LGBTQ, the white suburban mom who tells you that you have to support whatever cause. Like, these kids are tired of getting yelled at, and the people yelling at them are not conservatives. The people yelling at them are blue liberals, Democrats who are telling them, oh, if you don't vote this direction, then you're a horrible human being. And it's coming from the AOCs of the world. It's coming from the Jasmine Crockett's of the world. It's coming from the Cory Bookers of the world, right? And the rest of the squad and all of those people. And these kids are tired of it. And so when they had an icon like Charlie Kirk, these very quiet, conservative raised kids, they had somebody they could relate to who truthfully wasn't that much older than them, who was speaking the same language, who was treating them like adults and was having conversations with them. And then he gets killed. Like, these kids are pissed. Like, I don't know another way to say it. They are flipping mad. And that's where this surge is coming from. And, I think it's amazing. You said it at the top of the show. This is what is being ignited within this country. And it is the youth of America, which, Charlie was doing anyway. We never wanted it to happen this way. We never wanted him to be the reason like this. But his example and what he was doing is absolutely the catalyst for this. And I will tell you that this is going to carry through the next 3 or 4 election cycles, if not longer. Like, this Turning Point USA and the growth of that is going to become a network that drives the youth of this nation for probably as long as any of us can forecast. I think it's a huge thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went on and I wanted to just give this little suggestion to anybody who had the same thought that I did. I wanted to buy some merchandise to support, and now you can't. I was fortunate. I went on Turning Point. I was able to buy a couple shirts, a couple other things. I don't know. I bought a whole bunch of things, and yes, of course, you'll be seeing it. I'll be wearing them on the show and in my videos and stuff. Now it's probably a little bit tougher to get them. I did that fairly early on, but however, there are lots of people out there, little pop-up shops trying to make a buck off of this, and so you'll see a lot of probably foreign-based. I think a lot of them are foreign-based companies. So, do yourself a favor, do the Kirk family a favor, do Turning Point a favor, and make a point, if you can, to only buy that type of merchandise from either Turning Point or from Erica Kirk's company, which is Proclaim. I tried. Every single thing is sold out on her. Everything. You cannot get anything. So just be patient. I put myself on her mailing list. I said to somebody the other day, they asked, we were talking about that. And I said, listen, talking about Erica Kirk and how amazing she is. And I said, I think so many of us feel like we would walk across hot coals for that woman right now. And for the foreseeable future and for her kids. And I will, make a point of making sure that I support them. And yes, I do know that they will financially be fine for the rest of their lives. I think that they should be. That will not stop me from buying, whatever from them. So get on the mailing list, and hopefully when things are available again, you can get them. But try not to buy from these, people who are just trying to make a buck off a tragedy. I think it's grotesque. Somebody asked me, kind of what started that was somebody asked me if I was making something for this, and I said absolutely not. And then like 2 minutes later, I was scrolling and I saw Relentless. Help me, Relentless Defender. What's the name of the company? I'm drawing a blank. I think it's Relentless Defender. It's a company. They sell stuff, and they had been asked to, like, are you going to make a Charlie Kirk tribute? Sure. And they said absolutely not. Go over to Turning Point, or anything that is sponsored by them. So that's just kind of a long-winded side note. Make sure you do that instead. Let the money go where it belongs, because they are using it wonderfully to do amazing, wonderful things, and not greedy things. And another thing, by the way, for the parents who are either homeschooling or plan to homeschool, they have released all of their homeschooling curriculum for free. I don't know how long that is available for. I don't know if that's a permanent thing, but if that is something you're interested in, and you should go to their website for the free curriculum too. So there. No, folks, that's not a paid endorsement. We get nothing for that. That's purely from our heart. Yeah. Period. Yeah.
And, the reaction has not just been the United States, it's been global. And the timing of it is very interesting. So, there was the horrible reaction at the EU Parliament, where they tried to have a moment of prayer, which was not well received, very much like our own Congress. So, people showing their true colors. But there has been across Europe specifically a lot of reaction to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I've seen demonstrations in Germany and England and other places. There was also a massive, and it's interesting timing, a massive 2 million person gathering in England, which has it has to do with a lot of different things. One of them being Charlie Kirk, but also this ridiculous amount of now Muslim influence that's happening inside of the UK, and specifically in England itself. You've got that as a problem. You've got problems with taxes. You've got like a lot of things. England is starting to rise back up again, folks. And, Charlie is tied to that. Truthfully, it's all coming at the same time. But if you haven't seen it, the King George flag around England right now is a symbol of, interestingly enough, is a symbol of rebellion going on in England. So because not that long ago, someone put a King George flag up, and it was taken down as a symbol of hate speech by the police there. So now you're seeing them everywhere, but you're also seeing things like people are painting it on manhole covers. People are like, they're doing things like that. It's almost become this, like I said, it's a symbol of rebellion. But the global response to Charlie Kirk, I thought was very, very interesting, mostly in Europe and mostly in countries that are truthfully being overrun by Muslim population. It's all those people who initially, with goodness in their heart, or at least portrayed to be, let in all these refugees, and now all of a sudden they're being, overrun, and it's become an issue. So, global response has been interesting. It's not just secluded here in the United States.
Wow. It's so incredible to watch. You almost watch with like disbelief, right? Like, wow, like one man triggered all of this. And yes, absolutely. I agree, Clay. There were so many things simmering already. We had already, as a conservative nation and moderates, who, maybe don't identify with either side, so to speak. But that's a really large group. So you're talking about conservatives as a collective whole, and then you're talking about moderates who don't identify one way or other, and you put them all together, and that word that we've talked about so many times over several shows, which is fatigue. We are tired. We're done. They are done with all of this extremist BS. And it has never been about hating individuals, hating groups. There is no hate here. Whether I agree with your lifestyle or not, holds a bit of irrelevance to me, at least. My own feelings are irrelevant to me in how you live your life. As long as you're not bothering me and making me be a party to it or a contributor to it, do what you got to do. If you want to have a conversation about it, of course, I'd love to talk to you about it. But, ultimately, like, just leave us alone. And you haven't left us alone. You've made this the only thing we can ever talk about at any time. So, of course, there's going to be pushback at some point. And this is the, this is They did this. I said it, I think I said that early in the show that like, listen, you did this. You got us here, not us, not us, because we were perfectly content just living our lives and doing our thing. And you brought this. You brought this. You went too far. You pushed too hard, and then you did the ultimate wrong here. And now we're done. And now now we're fighting. Now we're ready to fight. Now we get it.
And it's happening on multiple fronts. Transition next topic. Like DOD hit another drug boat. This time in the daytime. And in the aftermath of the first one, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Drug boat full of fentanyl. I think there were 6 occupants in it, and it was a drone strike with a Hellfire missile, blew them out of the water. And I could not believe the things that I saw coming from people within our own government saying that's a war crime. Like, no,
no,
like take some social studies classes, right?
Right.
The president has declared them as the cartels are narco terrorists. They're terrorist organizations which allow our military to act to protect this nation against a terrorist threat. That's who they are. Okay, so let's get that off the table. So we hit another one just the other day. This one in the daytime. They have some beautiful daytime footage that I know we're going to try and get on here. But this is, again, we're tired. This is fentanyl, people. When you look it up. Look up how many people just a pound, right? How many people a pound of fentanyl can kill? Just look it up.
It's insane. It's insane.
And if you think that is not a threat to the safety of this nation, when you've got a boat with hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of this stuff coming into the United States, if you don't think that's a threat and you're more worried about us committing quote unquote war crimes as opposed to keeping people safe, you're part of the problem, right?
Right. Yeah. Can you imagine being mad and upset and bothered that the country, our president took out people who are trying to kill millions? Like, you're mad. You're mad about that? You have a problem with that? That was inhumane. That was mean. Really? Yeah. Cry harder.
Yeah. It's the same people. Oh, due process. Due process is most important, right?
Yeah,
and I can promise you, those people who say that have never had a friend, family member, an acquaintance, anything like that, die from this crap, right?
Really?
They clearly have not. And so that's, we are tired. You've said it, you keep saying it, and you're 100% correct. We are tired. And, one thing that's always proven true with Americans is we are tolerant to a fault as a nation. But once you push us past that line, like you're going to pay for it. And that's where we're at right now. And we're seeing it in small steps, but I'm going to tell you, that is not lasting long.
No, it's definitely not going to last long. It will escalate. And I see these revolving conversations all the time within the right. And, you have one faction of the right saying things like, now it's time to, tone down the temperature, tone down the, the rhetoric and all that stuff and come to the table. That's some people from the left are saying things like that. And some people from the right are agreeing with that, saying, yes, this was all too much, too far. I mean, duh. And now it's time to come together and talk and blah, blah, blah. Well, the answer to that is no, because we tried that. We tried that for a long, long time.
The guy who was doing that just got killed.
Exactly.
What do you want?
Yeah. Like the guy that was literally leading that, so stop saying stupid things, folks. The other thing is, don't confuse righteous anger with reckless anger. They are two very, very different things. Reckless anger will cause you to behave in a uselessly violent way, basically being them, right? And righteous anger will lead you to fight in a way that is using truth and keeping your dignity and basically doing what Charlie did, and you can it's okay to be angry. I'm angry, as if y'all couldn't tell. I'm angry, right? Like I don't hide it well. Like my husband says I get a scary laugh when I'm like really angry. He's like, yeah, when you laugh, when like you're saying things like I'm so angry, but you're laughing when you say it. He said, I think you might be your most dangerous when you do that. And I said, I think you're actually right.
I'm the opposite. I'm the quiet angry.
My husband's the quiet angry too. Right? Yes. Yeah.
Like,
the more quiet you get, the more
Yeah.
it's on. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I think,
Hey,
I probably, go ahead.
Emmys, the Emmys. Do we care
Oh,
about the
ugh.
Emmys?
Listen,
There was
I scrolled.
some normal Emmy stupidity. There was some Free
Mhm.
Palestine. There was
Yeah.
actually, I saw one of the funniest things was a lady who was Free Palestine, right?
Mhm.
They showed her in a post award. She won an award. I don't even know who she is, but she won an award. She was in in that room on the side where they do the interviews afterwards. And
Mhm.
for, I think, Al Jazeera television, she was in a strapless dress and they blurred out her entire chest area so it could be shown in the Middle East. Like, that's how dumb these people
That's
are.
how
Like, that's
dumb
what
they
she's fighting
are.
for.
Yeah. I mean,
You're a
that's why.
moron.
Yeah, I'm with you, Clay. And we put it on here so we could just basically, talk about that. We're not going to do who wore it best or anything like that, or, rate the gowns. We could not care less about that. I always get that one wrong, and I always get called out for it. Like, it's not could care less. I'm like, I know. I don't know why I do that. Leave me alone. So, I mean, for anybody who cares, it was the 77th Primetime Emmys. It was on September 14th. They crowned their big winners and gave Hollywood a moment to talk kindness and unity. I mean, listen, I just pulled this info up just to read it off. These are not really even my words here. In a week of national mourning, a few celebrities commented directly on Charlie's killing and the broader violence problem. I mean, is that even true? I didn't watch any of it.
His name was never mentioned.
Okay, so they can suck it.
From multiple stories, they talked. A few people talked around the topic.
Around it.
But
okay.
My understanding is that, because I didn't watch it and I never will, his name was never brought up specifically during the entire thing. Now, you go back to George Floyd, his name was brought up several times in the awards shows like the Emmys after his incident, but never, not one single person said Charlie Kirk during the entire Emmy. So that tells you who these people are and what they're about.
Yeah, they're jerks. I can't stand them. I don't care about them. I don't care about anything that they have to say. I think they are ignorant little bubble people living in their little vacuum, and their dresses look stupid and their hair is stupid. And I'm just being petty right now just because I feel like it. I really can't.
Let's be petty. The Chiefs are 0-2, and I'm calling it right now. It's Taylor Swift's fault.
It's totally her fault.
I mean, clearly, the whole thing on her. They're going to book her. I'm sticking with it. They're going to book her as the halftime show, and the Chiefs aren't even going to make the Super Bowl.
Yep.
That's the best part.
I think you are absolutely right. I mean, we should blame Taylor for everything right now. I mean, 100%. Why not, right? Everything is Taylor's fault. And as we've talked about in the past, I don't watch football anymore. We used to watch it, we watched it every single Sunday and Mondays often too. I haven't watched it in years. I miss it conceptually. I miss what it represented. That was just such a wonderful, fun part of our Sunday experience. And, I would make all the food and do all the things, and we'd wear our jerseys, and it was just so enjoyable. And then they went and ruined it. And I am a stubborn son of a gun. And
27 of the 32 teams did something in honor of Charlie Kirk.
It makes my heart happy.
Across the league. There were 5 teams that did absolutely nothing, but 27 of the 32 teams did something, whether it was a moment of silence, whatever it was. So maybe there's a little bit more there. Also, a number of NFL players immediately offered to pay for education for both of Charlie's kids. So
I saw that.
There's some good souls left in the NFL. I am not, again, a huge football fan, but there's a little bit there.
Yeah.
Maybe there's hope.
There's some hope. I will hold on to it. I will hold on to hope, and then hopefully someday return to that, super fun tradition. It was a really great fun tradition, and I would love to go back to it at some point. But we'll see. We will see if they are on the right trajectory here. My goodness, we did it, Clay. We did it. There was a lot of heavy talk there, but I think it was really productive. And Clay and I kind of had this unspoken goal, I think, going into this, that, we weren't going to come in here and try and bring you down and talk about, just pure darkness and grief and bad parts of this. There's, you have to find, and if you can't find it, be it and create it. We talked about that last week. There is a lot of good that can and has and will continue to come from this tragedy, but only if we make it so. So, my personal goal is to not let Charlie's death be in vain. And I know so many people have that same feeling. And it's a beautiful thing that this is our opportunity as a Christian. This strengthened my resolve and my determination to, like Charlie said, tell someone about Jesus every day. Every day, tell someone about Jesus, and that is the best way that you can honor Charlie Kirk and his memory and his legacy, and continue that legacy. And listen, I'm fine if you're not a believer, if it's not your thing. Let's not have hard feelings about it. It's okay. I'm not going to come knocking on your door and beat you over the head with the Bible. I'm just telling you, it's a great path to go down if you were ever so inclined to think about it. So for that alone, the number of people that are having changes of heart is incredible. And if not that, then at the very least, I hope and I pray that it has inspired a level of kindness and compassion, and to emulate what Charlie did, which was open dialogues, and just talk to people, talk to each other. And I hope that's something that'll happen more. Clay, would you be a love and close them out?
Hey folks, last week in the midst of everything else that was going on, my second novel dropped. So the sequel to Keep Moving, Keep Shooting is called Cross to Bear. It's the second in the Terry Davis series. That dropped on Amazon. Go find it. And I appreciate everybody's support so far in that endeavor. And I love y'all. And Elsa and I appreciate this. We always do every week. And find us in the comments. And from me, as always, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys. See you next week.
Combat veteran Terry Davis thought he left the fight behind. In Tampa, he uncovered a deadly conspiracy. Now, he's back home in Chicago, and war has followed him to his doorstep. Gangs armed like soldiers, a shadowy enemy rising from the past, and one man who refuses to stand down. From the quiet suburbs to the shores of Lake Michigan, Terry Davis will risk everything to protect the people he loves, because that is his cross to bear. Clay Novak's explosive new novel, Cross to Bear, Book 2 in the Terry Davis series.
She's the voice behind the viral comedy, bold commentary, and truth-packed interviews that cut through the chaos. Author, brand creator, proud conservative Christian, this is Elsa Kirk. Welcome to the show that always brings bold faith, real truth, and no apologies.